to myself, what a wonderful world.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Not sure why, but it feels like an absolute age since I've been back in the garage, and there is actually quite a few bits I need to do to the Mk2 today, all revolving around the engine bay. As most of you are probably already aware, my car is about 99% mint now. I'm pretty happy with how it sits. Apart from the engine bay, I haven't actually touched that. I've done a few little odds and sods here and there over the past 3 years, but I haven't actually delved into it too much. Now, the main reason for that is purely because I wanted to keep it standard, and I'm still going to be doing that. However, it does need a little bit of TLC. The first two parts I'm going to be changing are oil related. So the postman did actually bring me some gifts yesterday, and that includes a sump gasket set, because mine's actually leaking all around the edge. The cork gasket must be pretty old, and yeah, it's just not up for the job anymore. And also in there I've got a oil filter housing gasket, which I also need to replace because mine's just dripping out of where the oil filter housing meets the block. I've been putting off them two jobs, but seeing as the show season is just around the corner and I'm going to be doing quite a lot of miles next weekend, going to Isle of Wight, I thought I'd change these parts in preparation. Also, I do have another issue which I'm going to be sorting out in this video, but I'll talk more about that when I get onto it. If you haven't already noticed, it's actually a miserable day, so I'm glad I'm in the garage. And without further ado, I'm going to get the oil drained and start to replace these gaskets. So for some of you guys who haven't actually seen my engine compartment before, this will be a bit of a shock because the rest of the underside is absolutely immaculate, but the engine bay I just haven't touched. Let's get on with draining this oil. Anyone that doesn't know, it's only a 13mm. Now, I always hear people whinging and moaning that they always get oil on their fingers. You just got to be fast with it. I'm going to take my glove off. Right, this is either going to go one way or the other. Ready, steady, bosh. Done, yeah? No oil in your hands. While we're waiting for that oil to drain, I'll show you guys one of the spots where it's leaking from. Just up there, by the alternator. It's, yeah, caked in oil. Another is up by the starter motor. That's really nice and wet. I'm not actually too sure yet if I need to remove anything else. I think I can get around the starter motor, and I think I can get it around the exhaust. So, yeah, time will tell. Right, so as you could probably imagine, taking this sump off, recording it is going to be a little bit tricky on the floor. All you need to know is there's loads of 10mm just dotted around the top. Right, cue the time lapse. Right, so I've undone a couple of bolts on the sump, but I soon realised the starter motor is going to have to come off just because it's far too tight. So I'll just disconnect these terminals. Starter motor is pretty self-explanatory. Just got this negative or earth there, and a 13mm for the positive. To remove the rest, it's literally just 3 13mm. 1, 2, 3. Now the starter motor's out of the way, we can clearly see them two little sump bolts. So as quickly as I overcome that hurdle, I've just encountered another one. This torch is rubbish. But yeah, basically the bolts for the sump go into the gearbox. So I think if I take this plate off, I'll be able to get to them. These bolts here are just 17s. I think I'm in luck. Yes. Let's go. Not sure how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but I have actually got room now to get that other 10mm out, and there's none until the back now, so should be alright. Panic over. Perfect. Right, this should actually be the last bolt. Bosh, let's get the mallet and get this off. Fucking swat. Oh. 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 Oh, yes! Bosh, so the sump is off now, and I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised with the inside. Normally you get like Kent slush. I know they're saying a Kent, it's a bloody Valencia, but same difference, you know what I mean? Yeah, so normally these have loads of sludge at the bottom. I actually stripped a 1.3 a couple of years ago and it was thick. I might even have a picture still from that, so I'll whack it up if I do, but yeah, this looks really nice. I'm going to clean up where the gasket sits, and it's probably going to clean up a bit of the outside as well, just to make it look a bit more presentable. As for under here, I need to take off all the old cork gasket, and yeah, I'll clean it all up. You can see all the damp areas, and I can actually see right up there to the oil filter housing, which is leaking as well, so I think I'll do this before I put the sump on. Boom, so quick little progress update. The sump surface is all clean and the engine block is all nice and clean as well. What I am going to do while the sump's off, might give me a tiny bit more room. I'm going to remove the oil filter housing. It's quite hard to see from up here, but it's just down there, held on with 3 bolts, not quite sure on the size yet, probably either 10mm or 13mm. So yeah, gonna quickly whack that off and replace that gasket while I got the sump out of the way. And there we have it, the oil filter housing is now out. For people who don't know, this is actually cam driven. I'm not going to confuse people who don't understand the overhead valve engines, but the camshaft is basically in the middle and it's got a little cog on it which fits this cog for the oil filter, and yeah, that's cam driven. Right, I've just completed the most laborious job ever, which is cleaning off that old cork gasket, but it's all done now and ready to fit the new one. So in this gasket kit, it was just meant to be the bits for the sump, but they've actually thrown in this oil filter housing and the tiny little rubber ring that goes in it as well, so that's perfect. I didn't even know that was going to be there, and I did order another one, but I've got a spare now. I've also got a brand new oil filter. Going to get the old filter off, put the new one on, put the gasket on, probably do that on a time lapse because it's getting a bit dark now and I don't have good light for recording it. So I've got the new gasket sitting on there temporarily, just mocking it up. I did think this was a little rubber seal that went round the edge here, but I don't think it is because it's like plastic. So yeah, I won't be fitting that because it doesn't fit. Even though it doesn't look like it, I've actually changed the oil filter. Old one's just getting sunk in old oil, but yeah, give it a quick spruce up as well, couldn't help myself. And yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go and fit this back to the engine. There we go, that's the oil filter housing, all now done up again with the 3 bolts and the new filter on. I think it looks really good. Also put the date on it, just force of habit now.
24 hours later.
So here's me and Dad out on the Sunday again. He's working on the Mark 1 and there will be a video coming for that very soon, but for today I'm going to be focusing on getting the Mark 2 back together. Right, so as you saw the other day, I'd cleaned up all the surface of the sump, so to make sure that seals properly, and I also give the inside a bit of a clean just to make sure there's no sludge left, which there isn't a lot, but never going to get it perfect. So as for the engine block where the sump meets it, it's pretty much all spotless now. I did say to my dad earlier I could have polished this, but it's clean enough as it is, otherwise the gasket won't set.
Can't polish a turd.
So we're getting somewhere with this. Just put a tiny bit of instant gasket just to hold the cork gasket down while we put it up. Yeah, got these tiny little rubber things on the ends. They're really loose, but there's a nice snug position for both of them at either end of the crank when I put them on. So yeah, just gonna go ahead and fit this now. No one drinks Volvic water, Dad.
You recording that?
Yeah, I was.
Sorry.
Volvic water? Dr. Pepper. That's the sump now, all fully sealed up. On this side, the cork gasket did actually come out a little bit. As you can see up there, it has come out quite a bit, but I think it'll be alright and it should seal because them bolts did go through the holes. But yeah, that's all nice and tight now. I've nipped them up, don't want to go too tight with them. Now I've got the sump all on and all them bolts tightened up. I've just got to refit the starter motor and also this plate which goes on the gearbox. Dad was nice enough to clean off the gunk off both of these. It does look a little bit tatty, but at the end of the day I'm not focusing on tidying up and perfecting the engine bay just yet. There we go, all back together. Starter motor's on, and also that plate for the gearbox is on. It's just to stop anything from going in the bell housing. It's actually missing a bolt down the bottom, but we're not going to worry about that. It's not going anywhere. All I'm going to do now is get it back on the floor, fill it out with oil, and check for any leaks. Right, so the Fiesta's back on the floor now and I need to fill it out with oil. Any advice I'd give to someone who's got like a classic car, you need to get yourself a Haynes manual because people do go online for answers to questions these days. But honestly, there's nothing better than having a book. I haven't even looked at how much this has in it yet, but I should be able to find it pretty fast. So I found it, not sure if this GoPro's going to pick it up or not, but it's literally got servicing, specifications. Mine's 1.1 overhead valve, so it takes 3.25 litres. Can't go wrong with a hardback Haynes manual. Tells you most things you need to know with these cars. Right, nothing else left to do apart from start it up. Right, so I've just taken the Mk2 for a little bit of a test drive to make sure it's not leaking anymore. The only thing about living around where I live is it's just country lanes and having a lowered car isn't too fun, but it is what it is. Oh, Jesus. Luckily now that the exhaust is sorted, the only thing that really catches is a cradle sometimes. But that's only on very rare occasions. I can't lie, having done this engine work, it has made me really want to pull the engine out and completely rebuild and refurb everything in the bay, but that's gonna have to wait till winter. What I'm gonna do now is head back, check on the leaks. I don't think there will be any leaks anymore. And then I'll talk about the other part which I was meant to be changing, but I don't think I'm gonna bother anymore. Right, so I've checked under the car and there's no leaks at all, so fixed all the oil leaks that were going on. The next thing I want to talk about is the part that I thought I was going to be changing but I'm not anymore. So as I've been going to a couple of shows recently, I've obviously put a couple of miles on the Mk2 Fiesta, and I did actually hear or I have started to hear, a bit of a whining noise. It's driveline related because it gets louder as you get faster, but it stays at a sort of a humming noise. Don't think you're going to be able to pick that up. So when I first started hearing this whining noise, I automatically just jumped under the Fiesta and tried to see what was wrong, and I did see that the CV joint was leaking grease, and I just thought it was going to be that. But I thought the CV joint isn't going to be creating a whine, it'll be more of a clicking on lock to lock. So I'm thinking now sort of diff and gearbox related. So what I did do the other day is I filled up the box, and it took 1.5 litres before it come out of the fill bung. And yeah, if anyone knows anything about gearboxes, I'm not quite sure how much these probably take, but I know all the modern ones I work on take about 2 litres, there or less. So obviously alarm bells started to ring when it's almost taken its capacity in oil without me even draining it, which was a little bit annoying. But I did have a look, and the drive shaft seals are weeping just as they normally do on all cars. And over time that's probably just leaked out gearbox oil, but not to worry. I'm just going to have a little bit more of a deeper inspection with my dad and try and see if it is coming from the gearbox, and to double check it's not coming from the bearing or anything like that. So me and Dad have literally just had a quick look at that, and it's going to be the wheel bearing that needs changing, because when we spin the wheel you can feel it in the strut, and if you put a screwdriver towards the knuckle you can feel it in that as well. And on the gearbox side you can't feel anything, so lucky it's not the gearbox, because I thought I'd ran that dry, but it's just the bearing, probably a bit dry. I did actually change them 2 years ago, but yeah, they've gone again, so probably because I used some cheap ones from Euro car parts. But it's no real big issue because I can change it when I get back. It's not going anywhere because there's no play in it, and the nut for the drive shaft is tight. Right, that's going to be about all I can fit into today's video. As most of you are probably aware, I'm actually preparing for the Isle of Wight takeover show at the moment, which is this coming weekend as I'm filming this. Just a quick one, the 2,000 subscribers YouTube giveaway is coming very soon. I'm just in the works trying to get it sorted and whatnot at the moment, but I will have that ready for you guys very soon. The support on the videos has been so good recently, so thank you for everyone for watching, liking, subscribing, just supporting me in general, because I really do try my hardest to get a video out every week and make sure it's still quality content for you guys to watch. As for that wheel bearing, I'll just get that sorted once I'm back from the Isle of Wight, because as I've already mentioned, it's not going anywhere, it's just a little bit dry and starting to make a little bit of a whining noise. Also, make sure if you did enjoy the video, give it a like, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel to see more. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Also, as for under here, I hate these things, look, that does my nutting, that is why I have to start a new clip. Is it going to do it here? No. Oh, this is not fun. Yep. Oh, fuck this. Bloody car. Now the sump's on, all I've got to do... Fucking keep staring at me.